Residential sales comparison and income approaches, page 102. Also, there is validity to the thinking that the more adjustments that are applied, the greater the chance for error. Appraisers cannot judge the relevance of the comparable by simply applying this test. However, a comparable could have several small adjustments that do not particularly jeopardize the relevance to the subject in the analysis. On the other hand, a comparable might have only one or two sizable adjustments that could make the comparable significantly less reliable depending on what the adjustment is for and how well the adjustment is supported. In our example, it should be noted that comparable number 2 with the least number of adjustments did not produce the least adjustments in terms of dollars. Comparable number 3 had the least dollar adjustments. The appraiser must use good judgment in determining the relevance of data based on the number of adjustments. Location, market conditions, and physical characteristics. In many assignments, appraisers may reason that the comparable located nearest the subject, the most recent sale, or the physical similarities of the comparable to the subject are good reasoning for placing most emphasis on a particular comparable sale. Since location is one of the most important influences of buyer, this reasoning may be valid. Sales that took place during different market conditions or physically dissimilar comparables could be considered in the same way. Again, the appraiser must use good judgment when forming his conclusions based on the relevance of the comparable's proximity, how similar the market conditions were at the time of sale, and the comparable's physical characteristics. Relative comparison analysis. Relative comparison analysis involves qualitative analysis. As we mentioned earlier in this section, qualitative analysis techniques require the appraiser's good judgment and reasoning skills. Qualitative analysis takes place in reconciliation after applying any quantitative adjustments. In relative comparison analysis, the comparable sales are ranked as to how they reflect to the subject property as superior, similar, or inferior. The appraiser then determines where in or perhaps outside of the value range the subject is best represented. Page 103. For example, let's go back to the bottom line conclusions found in our previous illustration. Here's your subject, and we're going to go down the adjusted sale price. Comp 1 was $334,000. Comp 2 was $342,000. And Comp 3 was $328,750. You may have noted that no quantitative adjustment was applied for the physical condition of the property. However, comparable number 1 was inferior condition, as was comparable number 3. Comparable number 2 was in superior condition to the subject. So using qualitative analysis, the conclusions formed are demonstrating that an indicated value for the subject is somewhere above $334,000, the higher of the inferior comparables, and somewhere below $342,000. Ranking and weighting. To summarize what the analysis revealed, the appraiser can rank and weight the data by considering the elements of comparison and the resulting adjustments. The data then could be ranked from those having the most relevance to the least relevance, or the most dependable to the least dependable. In weighting, the appraiser could assign a percentage to each comparable, signifying the confidence the appraiser has in that particular data. For example, in our illustration, we can surmise the following. Comparable number 1 required 5 individual adjustments, and the greatest absolute adjustments plus $9,000. It also is the oldest of all the comparable sales, 6 months, and resulted in the greatest differences, 3 in physical characteristics: gross living area, baths, and a fireplace. Location was inferior. Comp 2 required 3 individual adjustments and the second highest number of absolute adjustments, minus $4,000. The sale was the second oldest at 2 months. There was only one difference in physical characteristics, gross living area. Location was similar. Comparable number 3 required 4 individual adjustments, but the least absolute adjustments, minus $3,250, and the least gross adjustments of any of the data. There were 2 adjustments for physical characteristics, although one was for gross living area, which was nearly the same as the subject. It only had 25 square feet more than the subject, and the additional garage stall. Location was superior, and the comparable sale transaction took place 1 month ago. Obviously, comparable number 1 would be ranked least comparable. It will be ranked last. It could be argued whether comparable number 2 or number 3 is the most comparable. Therefore, no distinction will be made.